Rev up your engines!
Well, here's an interesting one. U.S. emissions grew last year by 1.3%, even though renewables have taken over from coal as a larger supplier of electricity. For the first time in 6 decades, wind, solar, and hydropower generated 22% of the electricity in the United States, compared with 20% from coal. Yet emissions are still up. So, people think that there's this magic power going to come from the sky. Well, guess what? People are using lots of energy. Just as, if you want to compare it with car industry, the pollution from cars is actually going up because now they got to get better gas mileage ratings and blah, blah, blah. But Americans are buying lots of big trucks, lots of big SUVs, which get crappy gas mileage and pollute more, right? You got the government on the one hand saying this, and the people say, we want big, giant vehicles. Well, the two of them don't go together if you want to lower emissions. It's just, I find it absolutely hilarious. These people in these giant SUVs talking about, oh, they're going to save the planet. Well, they're driving around in their giant SUVs. They're doing the exact opposite of what they say they want to do. 2 years ago, Biden said they're going to lower the emissions. Actually, they've gone up somewhat from generating electricity, even though they've gone more towards solar and hydro and wind power. Bit in the bucket of the percentage of what comes out. I was reading a Canadian study, and they said, if we all go to electric cars, here's what we're going to save. And you look at it, it's like, less than 10%. That doesn't seem like much, you know? But of course, they can put these rules upon us as private individuals with what we drive. But the corporations, of course, get away with murder with all their factories and stuff because they're corporations. They buy the politicians out, and the politicians do their bidding. For example, nobody's built any refineries in the United States to make gasoline for quite some time because the old refineries are grandfathered in. So they can pollute, but the new ones can't. So nobody builds new ones, they just keep patching up the old ones. And in this case, you can make new laws that say, hey, everybody's got to get 55 miles a gallon, but you can't stop people from driving their giant trucks and SUVs. So, where the rubber hits the road is what you want to watch, not these talking points of politicians blah-blahing, kissing babies and eating apple pie. No, you need to see what's actually happening on the ground. And on the ground, it actually hasn't decreased, it's increased. So, don't think that these policies make any sense whatsoever, other than they are boondoggle to waste a lot of money on things that actually don't do all that much. I mean, I was reading an article the other day by a scientist, and he said, even if we switched all our cars to electric cars, it's too late for that to really have any effect on climate change. Something more radical would have to happen. He's probably right, too, you know. But the politicians say, oh, electric cars. They're on the electric car dream bandwagon. And guess what? Look at the electricity. It's still polluting the generation of it. And if we have more electric cars, they're going to have to pollute even more to get electricity for them. It's not magic. Electricity doesn't come from the sky. We're not going to be driving cars with solar panels that charge them. They don't work that well. It's not sunny all the time. You know, there's so many drawbacks. Make your head spin. As Harlow 08 says, my RAV4 burns oil and gets poor gas mileage. 350 kilometers on a full tank and city/highway driving. It's become a gas hog and it burns oil. Well, unfortunately, you got RAV4 with that 2.4 liter engine. They screwed up on those engines. I would go to Toyota and see if they'd fix it, but usually now they say they're too old and they're not going to do anything about it. They made the piston rings wrong and they burn oil. Then they're going to get worse gas mileage too as time goes on. There's no arguing that. If I were you and Toyota isn't going to do, contact them. See if they're going to do. Tell them Scotty told you that's a bad engine. What are you going to do? And if you live near Clarksville, Tennessee, bring it here. I'll make a video with it. Maybe we can shame them into fixing your engine like they did bunches of them, but they always have a restriction on mileage and age, and most of them have passed, and they won't fix them free anymore. If that's the case, and they won't fix anything, have a wet and dry compression test done to your engine. Pull out the spark plug. See what shape it's actually in. If the pressures are still high enough, it could still last quite some time. But if they aren't, it's wearing out, and it's time to either say goodbye or you'd have to put another engine in a vehicle because, unfortunately, got one of the few bad years. They're great vehicles, but that 2.4 liter engine was just, they had piston rings. It just screwed up on that. You know, they don't screw up much, but they screwed up on that one. John DeWood says, my car leaks when it's raining. I got a Volvo XC70. When it rains, the passenger side gets wet all over the place. Now I'm having electrical issues. The Volvo specialist said they want $500 to diagnose and help. All right, here's the problem. Once it starts leaking on the passenger side, it can be the seal on your windshield, the seal on the door. It could even be if you got a sunroof. The sunroof's leaking, right? All that water gets in there. It's not good. It's starting to short out your electrical system, and I see that all the time on those. What you want to do first is go to the fuse box that's over there, check it, unscrew the parts, take it out, and see if it's all corroded. And if you can't fix the leak, at least build a shield around it so water can't get on it and re-corrode it. Because once the corrosion starts, you can clean it up, but it'll still corrode if the water's still leaking on it. Try to find the leak. You know, get a hose, squirt around, see where it's coming from. But that's why if you've got water leaks, you want to fix them sooner than later. Because if you don't, that water will destroy the electrical system. And Volvos are just notorious for getting them on the fuse boxes and corroding it. So get in there. Maybe you could take it apart, clean it, and seal it. Like get some kind of plastic bag or something to seal it so that water will bypass the box. Because the box is, you take it out, you see it's all corroded. You can clean it out and usually get it to work again. But you got to keep the water from getting on it. Either find the leak or put a little shroud around the thing. Of course, like you found out, the Volvo specialists want $500 just to diagnose it because they're greedy. A lot of the European mechanics are scumbags and they just pay or go away. We don't care. We got plenty of rich customers. You don't want to pay. We don't even want you as a customer. And that's unfortunate, but that's how it is with both. That's just one reason I kind of slide people away from buying Volvos. I shy away from telling them to buy a Volvo because of that. When they do get older and need repair, the guys that fix them, they generally charge an awful lot of money working on them. Well, the baloney of Elon and his boring company goes on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, boring's the one they bore the tunnels, right? And the loops that people are going to drive on to stop congestion and stuff. I mean, it's a giant pie in the sky, and more baloney has come out. They post their impressive loop statistics for the one they have in Las Vegas, the tiny tunnel in the ground, right, to go to convention centers and stuff, right? I mean, it's never going to go from city to city. It would cost too much money. But yet, the PR baloney machine goes on with Elon. Oh, look at all the people we moved. And hey, they could have built an escalator on the ground like at an airport and moved people too if they wanted to, and it would have cost a lot less than them boring a tunnel in the ground. I mean, listen to this nonsense they tweeted. It was our privilege to provide transportation at the Las Vegas convention. Average ride time less than 2 minutes. Average wait time less than 10 seconds. 94,000 total passengers. 4.9 out of 5 stars by people who reviewed it. Come on now. You got people going to conventions in Las Vegas taking a short little ride. This is not a practical thing, these boring companies. If you look at any of the statistics, they said they're going to do in all these cities. And then the city said, well, show us, what's it going to cost what? And they never even got back with them to give them a price to say, well, we can do this, we can do that. It's just another one of Elon's P.T. Barnum scams. Oh, we're going to have hyperloops going on. It costs so much money to build these things. It's just plain stupidity. Saying, well, this will relieve congestion. Like how? It would cost billions to build these things in cities underground, right? It's just a science fiction fantasy that somehow got in people's mind that, oh, we're going to build them from city to city. And come on now. We have highways. We have airplanes, right? Anybody thinks they're going to build these hyperloops between cities. They've been reading too much science fiction. They don't live in the real world. It's just insanity that people are still looking at this stuff like it's a viable entity. It is not. Now they're talking about monorail again with it. When I was a kid, they started building monorails. They all failed miserably. If they didn't work back then, who's to say they're going to work right now? Instead of having it floating on the air like the monorails did, his is even worse. He's going underground. You know the money it costs to build stuff underground? It makes your head spin. And it's not like they're just building them underground in the desert, right? They're talking about inner cities. In the cities, you can't build underground easily. All kinds of infrastructures down there, old tunnels, electrical wires, sewage, you name it. No, in a city, you'd be doing 3 feet a day. You hit something, you have to fix something. The whole idea is as patently absurd as saying that his car company is worth more money than every other car company in the world is worth. Come on, they make crappy, expensive vehicles. The price is dropping like mad now, yes, but it's still overvalued if you ask me. It's not worth all that money in this boring company. It's just a stupid idea that somebody's trying to foist on the public. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.